Hey kids, Grandpa here. Okay, so in my live stream 2 weeks ago, Sunday, I showed the first part of making the bacon, where we took the bacon and we sliced it up, the pork belly, sliced it up into sizes that would fit into Ziploc bags, 1 gallon size Ziploc bags. And then on the bacon, on the pork belly, we rubbed a mixture of 2 cups of brown sugar, 2 cups of kosher salt, and 1 cup of maple syrup. And these went into the refrigerator, and then every day in the fridge they got turned over. They spent a day like this, they spent a day like that. And I kind of massaged them around and got the liquid flowing. Now you notice we've generated an awful lot of liquid down here in the bottom of the bag. And that's the job that the salt did on the pork belly, sucking some of the moisture out of it, which is exactly what it was supposed to do. But now we've got, well, we've got really good coverage, and now comes the second part. We got to wash all of this off of the what is now cured but unsmoked bacon. And so that's what we're going to do next. Lily, get down. Quit getting around the camera, you're knocking the camera over. So, let me show you what we do. We simply just take it out of the bag. We've got a container here of just some clear, cold, fresh water. Take it out of the bag. Drop it in the water. Yeah, it's just that difficult. And I'm going to seal the bag just because I don't want that liquid making any more of a mess than I have made already. Alright. Let me get the next one. Oh, it smells all nice and mapley right now. It smells great. All right, and again, look how much liquid we got off that little piece of pork belly. Just tremendous amount of liquid off of it. And in this particular one, we had 3 pieces, and there's look at the liquid came off this 3rd piece. It's just huge. And as we go through this process, I want to smell it. Make sure it's just fine, and it is. And it's stiff now. The pork belly was really kind of flexible before, and now it's kind of, you can see it's kind of rigid. It's not as limber as what it was. And again, look at how much moisture we took out of that little piece of pork. Look how much moisture we got. Probably 2 cups at least of liquid came off of it. So here what we do is we just put in this clear, cool liquid, and we just kind of massage it in there and let it soak. That's all we're doing. We're trying to wash the salt, the brown sugar, and the maple syrup now off of the bacon. We're trying to get all of that off. So we're going around and we're massaging it. We're opening up any little bends or folds that happen inside the bag, because that sometimes happens, getting them in there and making sure that it's all just nice and stretched out and beautiful. And getting all the stuff. You'll feel that there's no salt left. It doesn't feel like there's any salt. There's no grittiness left from the salt. But the salt is still in there. Don't kid yourself. It's just been liquefied. And now it's being absorbed and kind of addressed by all this. So we want to put this in this water. And now we're going to cover that with a towel and just let that soak for a while. Which is kind of dangerous out here on the farm, because I got all kinds of critters that are going to want to get in there and get to that. But we're going to let that cover. That's good cold water. We're going to cover that with a towel and just leave it be for a bit. Fold it in half. There we go. All right. Now it's time to start the smoker. There's always something that needs fed up here on Grandpa's farm in Alaska. A place where you're always welcome. Come on, Lily. Let's go feed. Well, hey, kids. Let me introduce you to my little friend, shall we? My smoker. Now, I've had this smoker for many, many years. It has smoked everything. It smoked bacon. Get down. Get down. It smoked bacon. It smoked turkeys. It smoked... Get down! It smoked bacon, it smoked turkeys, it smoked hams, and it smoked a ton of bacon. What I really like about this charcoal design is I have a little sidecar where I can make a fire, and then I can put the meat up on the main section, and that's where I do the smoking. You want an indirect fire. You want to keep it nice and cool when I'm smoking. I don't like it to get more than about 200 degrees inside the smoking chamber. So I can really exercise some control on this side with the airflow to control how much fire I've got going. I can be very particular about how much charcoal I put in, so I can really get a good control on my temperature, which is critical when you're smoking meats. So I really like this sidecar type design. In addition, I'm using real wood. I mean, I'm using charcoal and I'm using real chunks of wood in here. So I've got a natural fire. I'm not using little prepackaged pellets with God knows what chemical is in here. I use a charcoal starter like this. I don't use any kind of match light or fluid or any of that chemical garbage. This just uses newspaper in the bottom, which, you know, obviously the ink may have a little issue, but paper in the bottom, charcoal in top, and you light that, and it gets all the coals going for you. And you just pick it up and you dump it inside, and your coals are lit. And there's none of that chemically additive fuel kind of smell to it at all. None whatsoever. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the fire going, shall we? We've got our charcoal. Right now I'm using good old-fashioned Kingsford briquettes. These are the natural ones. Now later on when I start smoking, I will use some hickory flavored ones, and I'm going to use some hickory wood as part of my flavoring. Let me go ahead and light this. Just come over here to the little side door. Nice and easy. While it's lighting, I want to get as much air around my fire as possible. So I'll leave the side door open and I'll just let it go from there. And that's all there is to it for now. We're going to go ahead and let that get going. And once we get a fire going, we're going to heat the grill up first to get it good and hot, get all the juices going, clean and scrape everything down so we get everything cleaned down. The grill has built up a certain amount of smokiness, what have you, inside the grill. I do not clean all of that off on my grill. It takes years to develop that, and that does affect the flavor. So I leave that stuff inside the grill. I shovel out the ash, of course, like you would normally do, but then I do leave the rest. What are you barking at? Are you barking at a turkey? Really? You're barking at a turkey. They're turkeys, dummy. Get down. Down. What is wrong with you today? She's being just a knothead today. Actually, it's kind of funny. I got to tell you a little story on her. This morning we went to the restroom, which is right over yonder. I went to go into the outhouse, and she went past the outhouse to head up in the woods, as she usually does to do her business. She must not have gotten 5 feet into the woods, and there must have been a moose standing there, or there was a moose standing there, because all of a sudden she was barking like crazy. She didn't see it. Quit. She didn't see the moose until the last minute, and it just scared the bejesus out of her. All of a sudden I heard woof, 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 and she come running back. She was scared. She came running back, went right into the cabin, into her dog crate. She was hiding in her dog crate when I come out of the outhouse. So, as you can see, this works really good for getting the coals going. Lily, what are you barking at? Why are you so wired today? Why are you knocking me over today? Where's your manners? Down. Where's your manners today? You know better than that. Be quiet. Calm down. Be good, wolf. So as you can see, this works highly effective. It's getting the charcoal going quite nicely. So let's give that a minute to go, and then we'll get to part 2. 3 or 4, wherever we're at. Okay, folks, so while the charcoal's getting going, let us go ahead and get into part 2 of what we're doing here. The charcoal's getting lit. The charcoal grill is getting ready. As soon as the coals are good and hot, we'll go ahead and clean up the grill and get ready for smoking. Next step we need to do is get our smoking chips going. Now, Unfortunately, up here in Alaska, I do not have access to hickory. I like to use hickory for smoking my bacon. I could smoke with alder. I could smoke with willow. I understand either of those two woods is good for smoking. I don't care for the flavor of them on my bacon. I am thinking about doing some alder smoking for some pork chops later on when I do the pigs. But for now, I just went and bought some hickory chips. And so what we need to do is we need to get our hickory chips wet and get them good and wet so that they'll smoke well. So here I just have a pot full of water, and I just put the hickory chips in there and give them a good stir so that they'll get wet and absorb all that water. We need for them to be wet in order to make the smoke when we're smoking. So those are our hickory chips getting nice and wet so that they'll make lovely smoke. Here you can see the charcoal is getting ready. You can start seeing some red embers down there in the bottom. So pretty soon we'll be able to start heating up the smoker and getting it ready. But you can see how nice that works. And all that was just some crumpled up newspaper in the bottom with the charcoal on top. And it does a beautiful chemical-free way of getting your charcoal going. No petroleum based, no wax, no nothing. Just the burning newspaper gets the charcoal started, and now the charcoal is going and it's getting good and hot. So we'll have this ready to go in just a moment. Okay, I don't know if you can see it down in there, but we've got some really good heat going, and as you can see, the coals are starting to glow really nicely. Now, typically you want to see a little white on the coals before we dump them in, but for smoking, again, we want to have a really cool fire, and we want to get it hot to begin with and then cool it down. So I'm going to go ahead and dump this, and we'll get this going here in just a second. So here we've got it smoking now. You can see it's getting ready to go. We've got a fire going over here in the sidecar. It's making good heat, putting heat out into the main smoking chamber, which is this side. There's no fire on this side. All the fire is in here. It's just the warm smoke going through there and coming out the chimney, okay? Now, one critical piece on here is we have to have our thermometer. And we got our little thermometer dropped down in there so we can monitor the temperature. And right now, I'm too hot for smoking. This is showing I'm at 250 degrees, which is just too much. That would be way too hot. We would cook the bacon instead of smoke the bacon. So we're going to let this go for a while. We're going to let that charcoal cool off a little bit, let it cook down. And then we're going to try to get this so we have it perfectly set up at 200 degrees. Now, how we control the temperature is one of two ways. We can add or subtract charcoal into the fire chamber over here. As you can see, this is where the fire chamber is. Or we can control it with the vents on the side, or by plugging up the chimney here and restricting airflow. The more we restrict the airflow, the more we can reduce the temperature. But right now, I want to get it good and hot to sterilize it and clean everything. So we're going to go ahead and let this rip. We're at 375 now, which is right where we want to be. That's fine, let it go. If it went to 450 or 500, that would be fine with me. I want to get it good and hot and make sure everything inside is nice and clean. So we're going to let this go for a little bit, let it heat up. And we're going to keep our fire going, however. Not going to let it go out, but we're going to let it go down. And then we'll start adding just a couple briquettes at a time to maintain temperature and control it with airflow. So, all right, so on to the next step of making bacon. Right now we're up at about 260, heading up to 275. We want to be down there at 200. So we're just a little too hot yet right now. It's still climbing, going up to 300. We're going to have to give those coals a little bit longer to cool off. All right. Got the grill all cleaned. We're down around 275. You know, I think we may just start it there. That looks pretty good. You know what, folks? Let's go ahead and get the show on the road. It's getting late here in Alaska. It's 5 o'clock at night. Sun's getting low. Let's go ahead and get this bacon smoked, shall we? First thing we need is bacon. Not rocket science, folks. Now we need to add smoke. So we take our hickory chips, which are nice and wet. And we drop some of those on the hot coals. That easy. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Right around 210 degrees. That's just about perfect. You see the smoke starting to come. See it's coming around the edge of the door here? Temperature's rising. Probably going to get a little hot. We're probably starting it a little hot. But better start it, I guess, a little hot than a little too cold. Yeah, we're building good smoke now. All right, well, let's give that some time. Just a matter of time now. Here we got some good smoke going. Look at that, huh? Now we're smoking. We are smoking. We're getting too hot, though. Are we getting too hot? No, we are right at 200 degrees. See? Now that's perfect. 200 degrees and we're getting good smokage. It's exactly what we want to see. 200 degrees and great smokage. Looks like we're at 250. I just added some charcoal, so we're getting a little bit on the high side. Why don't we take a quick little peek, see what it looks like in here. Ooh, big cloud of smoke. And as the smoke clears, oh baby, look at that coming along. All right, it's time for a move. Let me show you what I do. Okay, let me back way out. There we go. All right, take this piece over to here. This piece gets flipped. Move to there. That piece gets flipped. Move to there. That piece gets flipped. Move to there. I want to keep them down to this end because it's a little bit warmer and they'll get done a little bit. All right, so you see how they're coming on there? Now this one was the one nearest to the heat just a moment ago with this side down. That's why it's got the most color. All of these will have more color than that by the time we're done. All right, let's close this up and let it go for a bit. Look at the smoker going. That right there is just exactly what you're looking for, folks. Well, not the turkey's head up in the way. But you see the smoke, the way it's coming off the smoker? It's exactly what we're looking for. That tells me we've got good smoke rolling inside there. Putting a good smoke on the bacon. The temperature's down around 225, 240, somewhere in there right now. A little bit higher than what I'd like, but that's rolling just perfect. Just perfect. Okay. Well, I just switched the bacon around. You can see the way it looks now. Getting some nice color to it. Getting some nice definition. And getting some nice smoke to it. Gotta keep going. Okay, kids, here's the bacon. It just came in. Just came in from the smoker. This is what we started smoking altogether about 4 hours ago. Look at that, huh? Is that not beautiful? Let me see if I can put a light on it so it lights up a bit better. Get a little bit better exposure. What do you think of that, huh? Is that not beautiful looking bacon? Absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful smoke on it. Well, hey kids, there you go. There's the final product. So you can see what the bacon looked like when it came off the grill. That was actually last night. And now I'm finishing up the editing and getting ready to post the video. And I just wanted to record real quickly a little overview of the whole process. So during the live stream the other week, last week, we took the bacon, the pork belly, we divided it up into 3 pieces. Now it was about a 10-pound pork belly, and that's off of one side of the pig. That's just the rib section off one side of the pig. And we split that up into 3 pieces so that it would fit nicely into 1 gallon size Ziploc bags. I then took 2 cups of brown sugar, 2 cups of kosher salt, and 1 cup of maple syrup, and I made all that together into a rub. I divided that amongst the 3 pieces and rubbed them all good and down with it so they had a good coverage. And then from there, I closed the Ziploc bags and they went into the refrigerator. Now they spent actually 8 days in the refrigerator. Every day in the refrigerator, I turned them over and kind of massaged it to make sure all of the salt and sugar and everything was well dispersed around the complete thing, inside every little nook and cranny and what have you, so I had really good coverage. So again, every day for a week, they came out, they got turned over and got put back in the fridge. On the 8th day, I took them out and I put them in a little bit of a freshwater bath to rinse off all the excess. Now, having tasted this bacon, I think I should have given it a bit more time in the fresh water because it's a bit saltier than it is normally. It's still good, it's just salty bacon. It's just a little bit saltier than it should be. Maybe I should have left it in the fresh water for a longer period of time. Who knows? Every time you make bacon, it's always going to be slightly different in taste, but that's farm and not factory. That's just the way it is. So we took the bacon out of the bags, and you saw me do that. And you saw how much water was left. Now that water that was left in the Ziploc bags is how much moisture was sucked out of the meat before we even started the smoking process. That's actually the curing process. That bacon, as it came out of the Ziploc bags, was completely cured at that point. It just hadn't had smoke added to it. We got our grill good and hot, got it good and cleaned down, got temperature down around that 240 mark or so, and we put the bacon pieces in there. Ideally, you want the grill to be around 2 to 225, and there's perfect. So we put the meat in and we added the wood chips, and that cooled the fire down just perfectly. So we were rocking right at 200 degrees, and we kept it in that 240 range or so for a few hours. And every so often I went in there and I rotated the pieces of bacon around and turned them. So they got rotated around, turned them. Every one of them took turns being at the hottest or the coolest end. And they got flipped and you know, I think in reality I did that maybe every 15 minutes or so. Turned and flipped. So, and then there you go. There's the finished product. After a couple hours in the smoker, when I thought they had sufficient color, I pulled them out. Maybe they were a little over smoked. May have been a bit too much. I could have stopped earlier if I wanted to. But I really like that heavy smokiness to it. Now this morning, I took some of that bacon, I cut as I trimmed it, you know, because you have to trim up the edges and square it up so that I have nice, neat 1-pound packages to put into the freezer. What I did is I took the trimmings and I sliced that off and made myself a skillet of bacon and potatoes with some onion and some corn in it, which is the way I like it, and had that for breakfast this morning. And let me tell you something, it was just friggin' awesome. Just absolutely awesome. There's nothing in compares to making your own bacon. So with that said, I did take the names of all the good folks and I put them into a hat and I drew a name for the lucky winner, and I'm going to announce that now. Rhonda Frayne won the pound of bacon. So Rhonda, if you're out there and you're watching this, contact me and give me your email address, or I'm sorry, your snail mail address. I need a mailing address, and I'm going to mail you a pound of my bacon. So Rhonda Frayne was the winner. Booyah! Yay! I'm sure Rhonda will enjoy that, and I hope she does, and I hope she makes some comments on the channel afterwards, telling people how good or bad it was. I'd like to hear her judgment on my bacon. So, anyhow, that wraps up bacon making for 2016. Maybe, I don't know, I've got a couple hogs to butcher, so I might do some more later on. Certainly might be smoking some other things. I might smoke a ham, might smoke some pork chops. I might smoke some ducks and geese. I might smoke a turkey. We're going to try a few different things yet, and you see how my smoker is set up, and it works perfectly for all those things. So, anyhow, that's kind of it. That'll wrap up making bacon. If you like this kind of thing, please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you later. Bye, guys. You guys have a great day. How about them toad suckers? Ain't they sappy? Sucking them toads all shore make them happy. Hug 'em mug of toad suckers way down south. Sticking them sucky toads in zay mouth. I be a toad sucker knowing to duck it. You just find an old toad and you rear back and suck it. Folks, you have a good day. Bye.